On today's broadcast, the U.S. says it would agree to a non-aggression pact with North Korea if it moves to denuclearize. South Korea lashes out at North Korea for criticizing President Park Geun-hye by name, and Samsung Electronics' quarterly operating profit reached a record 10.1 trillion won in the third quarter. This is KBS World Radio News. I'm Bruce Harrison. The U.S. State Department says member states of the six-party nuclear talks are prepared to sign a non-aggression treaty with North Korea if it takes steps to denuclearize. Pundits are cautiously viewing this as a sign of a possible shift in U.S.-North Korea relations. Our Kim So-yeon reports.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says the six-party talks nations are ready to have a peaceful relationship with North Korea and sign a non-aggression agreement if the regime ends its nuclear development program and engages in legitimate negotiations. Kerry made the remark at a joint news conference Thursday in Tokyo after holding 2+2 talks between top U.S. and Japanese diplomats and defense officials. During previous six-party talks, North Korea has called for a non-aggression treaty and normalization of diplomatic ties with the U.S. in return for ending its nuclear development program. Sources involved with the talks say the North asked for a non-aggression agreement in 2003, but Washington balked at the idea, saying there is no precedent of such an accord being signed with any other country. In this backdrop, Kerry's mention of the agreement, long demanded by Pyongyang, may be a sign of subtle change in the U.S. stance regarding the six-way dialogue's resumption. But a diplomatic source in Washington says the Secretary has simply reiterated a principle in theory. Some observers believe as North Korea is seemingly seeking dialogue these days, China could be pressing the U.S. to engage in talks with the North. Lately, Beijing has been seen as accepting U.S. calls for North Korea sanctions. China has even announced a list of goods banned from shipping to the North last month. In this light, the U.S. may feel the need to respond to China's call for dialogue to a certain degree. While Washington and Beijing maintain sanctions on Pyongyang, the U.S. may well be trying to lure North Korea into sincere denuclearization talks with a non-aggression pact. Other observers say the U.S. could be applying the Iran model with North Korea. Washington believes sanctions were critical in eventually making Iran come out to talks on giving up its nuclear arms. Kim So-yeon, KBS World Radio News.
The government has condemned North Korea's latest comments about President Park Geun-hye, calling them irrational and ill-mannered. Unification Ministry spokesperson Kim Wi-do said Friday it's regretful North Korea criticized the South Korean president by name using unspeakable language. Kim said no country uses such foul language to criticize a leader of another country, and such words could seriously harm trust-building efforts between the two Koreas. Regarding the North's repeated vow to pursue both economic advancement and nuclear arms development, Kim said North Korea should become familiar with the trends of the times in today's world. Earlier Friday, North Korea criticized the South Korean president by name and vowed to continue its simultaneous pursuit of economic development and nuclear program in a statement by its National Defense Commission. President Park Geun-hye will visit Indonesia and Brunei next week to attend regional summits and for a state visit. Park will first visit Bali, Indonesia from Sunday to Tuesday to attend the 21st Asia-Pacific Economic Leaders Meeting. The president will then fly to Brunei to attend the 16th Korea-ASEAN Summit, ASEAN Plus 3 Summit, and the 8th East Asia Summit from Tuesday to Thursday. Park will also make a state visit to Indonesia from Thursday to Saturday. Attention is being drawn to whether Park will comment during the APEC summit on South Korea's position of whether to join the Trans-Pacific Strategic Economic Partnership, the U.S.-led multilateral trade agreement. Senior Presidential Secretary for Foreign Affairs and Security Ju Chol-gi told reporters the government has examined the country's possible participation in the multilateral deal, and it is greatly interested. A director at the Nomu Hyun Foundation says the draft version of the 2007 Inter-Korean Summit transcript was not deleted but left out from the presidential record transfer to the National Intelligence Service. In a radio program Friday, Kim Kyung-soo said if there is a final edited version, the first draft holds no value as a record. He said due procedure was followed when transferring the final version to the intelligence agency. Saying based on what he's heard, Kim denied claims the records not transferred to the intelligence service were deleted from the file management system of the Roh Moo-hyun administration. He also said certain parts were corrected from the draft transcript, such as inaccurate expressions and attributing the wrong quotes to speakers at the summit other than the president. The prosecution said the deleted version is closer to the original transcript of the summit meeting and said it's wrong to delete the first draft just because the final edited version was produced. Prosecutors plan to question key aides and officials of the Roh administration next week to investigate why the transcript was not given to the archives and when the first draft was deleted.
You're now listening to the news from KBS World Radio's News Center in Seoul, Korea.
Samsung Electronics estimates it earned a record operating profit of 10.1 trillion won in the third quarter. The world's top maker of memory chips also estimated Friday that sales during the July to September period reached 59 trillion won. That represents a 13% on-year increase in sales and a 25% on-year increase in operating profit. The earnings guidance is higher than analyst estimates that Samsung is unlikely to surpass 10 trillion won in operating profit for the third quarter. A Samsung official attributed the positive results to strong sales in Samsung's latest smartphone Galaxy S4 and growth in chip sales. The vice chairwoman of Dongyong Group allegedly withdrew a large sum of money from her private safe at Dongyong's brokerage unit right after the group filed for court receivership for several of its major affiliates. Dongyong Securities Labor Union said Friday it confirmed Lee Hae-kyung, the wife of Chairman Hyun Jae-hyun, visited Dongyong Securities headquarters downtown Seoul Wednesday and made the withdrawal. A labor union official criticized the chairman's family for hiding the application for court receivership and the withdrawal from Dongyong employees. The group chairman recently said in an email to the media that he even spent his family's living expenses to pay back commercial papers. The labor union plans to file a suit against Hyun early next week, saying it found after a legal review that filing for court receivership for Dongyong Cement and Energy constitutes fraud. The Financial Supervisory Service will launch a task force to support victims facing losses over the Dongyong Group crisis. The team will be committed to inspecting the conglomerate and providing legal assistance for 4 months. 110 officials will staff the task force and make up 5 working groups, including a working group on special audits. Dongyong's financial arms have sold financial products on a large scale, and requests for dispute resolution are increasing. The Supervisory Service says between September 23rd and this Tuesday, 3,700 requests for dispute resolution were filed related to Dongyong's financial affiliates, and another 2,700 civic inquiries were made.
You're now listening to the news from KBS World Radio's News Center in Seoul, Korea.
South Korea's ambassador to the UN mission in Geneva has been elected head of the Executive Committee of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Permanent representative to the UN in Geneva, Chae Sok-yong, was appointed chairman at the committee's General Assembly in Geneva. Chae will hold the post until October next year. It's the first time for South Korea to chair the committee. The committee is an international organization to lead and coordinate international action to protect refugees and resolve refugee problems worldwide. The agency is operating in 126 countries. A group of North Korean defectors has sent leaflets over the border to urge North Korea to resume efforts to hold family reunions. The Fighters for Free North Korea on Friday sent 200,000 leaflets and 300 booklets in 10 large balloons at the Unification Observatory in Paju, Gyeonggi Province. The leaflets call on North Korea to agree to reunions of separated families, saying Pyongyang is largely responsible for the postponed event. South and North Korea had agreed to hold the reunions in late September, but Pyongyang backed out 5 days before the scheduled start. About 50 police officials were positioned around the observatory, but there were no scuffles with the defectors group. Prime Minister Chung Hong-won has pledged the government will enact a law to promote regional culture. The Prime Minister made the vow Friday at the opening ceremony of the 63rd Gaechon Art Festival in Jinju, South Gyeongsang Province. Chung promised active state support so the nation's cultural capacity could become resources for President Park Geun-hye's goal of a creative economy through the fusion of industries and culture. He also vowed to actively deal with issues to remove regional cultural gaps by legislating regional culture promotion law. The Formula One Korean Grand Prix has opened at the Korean International Circuit in Yeonggam, South Jeolla Province. A total of 22 drivers will race in the annual F1 Korean Grand Prix, including two-time defending champion Sebastian Vettel from Germany. The qualifying race will be held on Saturday afternoon and the final on Sunday at 3 p.m. And that's the news from KBS World Radio's News Center in Seoul.